And we are back to Rainbow Flickers over the Crimson Screen. And this month being Pride Month, we've decided to do a couple of videos with difference. Uh, we're actually going to be looking at representation of the queer characters in TV shows and perhaps movie over the ages, and actually see if this representation is something we want to see again, or we are glad they are not represented. We are not represented like this anymore. So
I mean, okay.
Keep your lips firmly shut and sit down.
Bit of a challenge.
So what was the show we watched, David?
So we actually watched one episode from a British TV show called Gimme Gimme Gimme. That was a TV show that was broadcast between 1999 and 2001 in the UK on the BBC, which is basically kind of a spin on the Odd Couples sitcoms, where we actually follow Linda LaHue, Halai. Perhaps we say ally now, an
Yeah,
ally
she's an
and
ally.
and a flatmate, Tom, a gay actor who's actually don't have much chances of being an actor because he always mess up his roles. The idea of this show is really like the banter between the two characters is so important. We believe they love each other, but we realize actually they are the two people who can actually stand each other. Nobody else can stand them but themselves. So they kind of stuck in this apartment together because they are pretty much the only one that stand each other. And so we follow these two characters, and they live in this flat with an ex-prostitute landlord called Beryl, and the neighbors Jess and Sue's kind of a middle class, British middle class living in a basement flat, and Jess is kind of the character that I would say that the character of Kathy Burke, so Linda, want to have sex with for the entire seasons, the 3 seasons of the show. So yeah, so it's really 1990s, late 1990s humor, with a lot of references from this period, especially the Tony Blair era. That was very important in that case. So there. So I don't think you've seen this before.
I have not.
So what did you think about it in terms of the humor and the representation?
British humor is usually hit or miss with me, and yeah, it's probably miss with me on this one.
Beryl, when he walked past you, did he mince?
Do it for
Shall I act it? I'll act it for you. Watch me, I'll act it for you.
Correct it.
Was he like this? Or was he like this?
What's the difference?
Oh, you bitch!
But as far as the representation, I for one think, I mean, I don't know, has that much changed? I don't know. I haven't been like out there in the clubs and cruising and all that, and since I was, you know,
You were little lads.
we lad. So I don't know how much has actually changed. So I don't know really about the representation that this is embodying, but I did, apparently people are still catfishing each other. So on that episode we watched, they were catfishing each other, kind of in a way,
Indeed.
right?
And maybe I like too.
Eh?
I say my name was Nino.
Yes.
It's Kevin.
Kevin? It's not very Italian.
And I'm from Manchester.
Oh, dear.
So, but as far as representation, I don't know. I think it still kind of holds up. I mean, that I feel like that could happen today. That episode could probably be made today. Maybe not. Don't shoot the messenger.
Some of the humor can be a bit iffy at times in that show. They were really going quite far in some of the jokes. There's some episode about some scenes that are iffy now. But it's very interesting to see, like, I would say late 90s, early 2000 was the time when, at least in UK TV, we actually had a lot more representation for of gay people. Like Queer as Folk, for example, was that period,
Oh,
for
Chris.
example. The original.
Which also had a resurgence. Now apparently there's something problematic. Apparently there's some problematic people about. I don't know. I don't keep up with it, but yeah.
And one thing that was really hard, especially for me, okay, to give a bit of a context, I'm French, surprised. I
Wait, you're
lived.
French?
hmm I
So
am
you
indeed.
mean that British accent this whole time you've been faking it?
I've been catfishing you, sir.
Wow.
Yeah, so I lived in France. I live almost 20 years in the UK. So I actually have vision of actually the representation in different countries. And there's one thing's for sure. The reason why I wanted to do this for Pride Month was because I remember as a teenager, on French television, there was no representation at all. There was this thing which was pretty much the bury your gay era, where the only time you were seeing gay people, they were never happy. They always either died or disappeared after one episode, and they usually were ill with HIV. So that was a great way to actually representing who you felt actually you were gay, and just like, oh, okay, so I'm gonna die, I'm gonna commit suicide, or I'm gonna, be unhappy all my life, or be a bad guy and actually take over the world. Or attempted to anyway, because apparently that's what we were doing also.
That sounds
So,
kind of fun. I'm gonna take over the
mhm,
world.
indeed. So so you grew up in this period when you also have the gay best friend tropes and everything else, and suddenly moved to the UK, and I started to see more representation. There was something a bit different about representation of gay people on the media altogether, and it was interesting to see the movement of this representation coming from, like, we're going to be seeing a couple of more of this subject this month, but we go from very stereotypes gay people in shows, like very camp, very innuendo, sexually frivolous, and we nowadays we actually have much more rounded characters. And it was very interesting for me to actually look back at how we're representing ourselves in a media, to actually see how things have moved, and actually how lucky now we are to have so much of a full rounded representation of gay, lesbian, or queer relationships, something that was actually not really a thing for a very long time. We had maybe had some gay characters, but they never were in a relationship, where they were never talked about. Remember My Best Friend Wedding, I think it was called, with Rupert Everett playing the best friend. He was just there to be the best friend. He was actually not really a rounded character. And for a very long time, we were pretty much there as the best friend, and or as the enemy, or as someone that was supposed to have the big issue, actually going to be changing the life of the main characters and die, usually. The 90s, we died a lot.
So do we need an equivalent of the magical Negro for?
The magical queero, how we gonna call it? Yeah, it's really like we seem to forget that we actually, for a very long time, we were pretty much like, we were always talking about the token black guy in movie in the 80s. In the 90s, early 2000, we had the token gay guy in shows. And did he help with the representation or not? I don't think it did, because I never recognized myself in any of these queer characters on TV. Uh, so it was really hard. On top of it all, if you're young and you want to actually show You want to actually come out to your parents and actually to, okay, I'm gay, whatever. And the only thing you see on TV are stereotypes or people dying, people on drugs, people with HIV, people, being murdered. Thank you, cold case. Um, it doesn't help with the coming out process, I would say. So today is so much better, but it's nice to actually see what was before. Personally, I found the character is still basically a bit stereotype, a bit more effeminate. Really coming back to the old British humor, such as Carry On movies, which all the queer character were pretty much very, very camp.
Oh, my sense is deserting me. There's something funny going on here. Villiers, what are you doing with your things?
I'm sorry, sir, but for the good of Rome, you must die.
But you're my personal bodyguard and champion gladiator. I don't want to die. I may not be a very good live emperor, but I'd be a worse one dead. Treachery! Infamy! Infamy! They've all got it in for me.
And very effeminate. And Tom is like this. We can actually see there's even an episode when he actually tried to pretend to be straight, and he's actually creating this kind of very weird, very weird straight character for the entire episode. It's very, very weird. So it was unashamedly,
Unapologetically.
unapologetic. Ooh, words. Oof. There was a lot of queer humor in it. Maybe too topical and too actually on the nose for that period. For example, I don't think a lot of the humor they were talking about in that episode might have been something you can went over your head, because it was really reference to actually that period of time and that culture in the UK. And I doubt that most of the people they were talking about are people that you actually knew in the US, because they're pretty much UK characters. So
Let's play casualty.
Oh, fabulous. All right, okay. You be the paramedic and I'll be the relative, okay?
Okay.
All right. I just need to prepare, so don't be too quick.
Okay. You ready?
No, not yet, I'm preparing. Okay, I'm ready now.
I'll be general. Where is she?
She's over there and I'll think she's dead.
Yes, she is.
but I'm glad these characters actually appeared, because it was actually like making fun of seeing basically a gay character who actually not gonna die, who's actually funny, who's actually happy, who actually want to find a date or actually a relationship, was actually nice to see. It was not a drama, it was actually just a fun episode. So I was glad to actually see that representation at that time in the 90s, late 90s, when I was in the UK. Do you think that, because I could actually maybe compare it a little bit with Will and Grace in terms of actually the character?
I can see that, but I'll be honest, I didn't watch a lot of Will and Grace, so.
Okay. But yeah, so would you actually say that this kind of show could make a comeback and would actually be accepted as a good representation, or would you actually say, oof, maybe not?
Oof, maybe not.
Yeah, there is some. I agree with you. Even though it was a show of the time, but some of the humor might have been a bit insensitive in some ways. Even if we know basically why they were just going that way, it will not pass now.
Yeah.
And I rather prefer to actually have more rounded characters, like we have now, than actually this kind of I'm queer, I'm an actor, and I just want to go to the club and actually find an Italian guy happen to be from Manchester, you know. So yeah. So there. So first show, Gimme Gimme Gimme. Okay, maybe not. So we will see next time for another show and see if the representation is worth looking back at or not. So on that note, goodbye.
See you guys later.